Let's talk about artificial intelligence. Now, I know that term gets thrown around a lot, and it usually makes us think of sci-fi movies and futuristic robots. But how did AI make the jump from being just a cool idea to a technology that's actually shaping our world today? What was the real tipping point? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down. The journey of AI from pure hype to practical, everyday reality. And this slide really sets the stage perfectly. On one side, you have hype, which is how we saw AI for decades, this abstract, futuristic concept of thinking machines. But on the other side, you have reality, which is what AI is today, a practical tool, a real workhorse that businesses use to make things run more smoothly. The big question we're tackling is, how did we get from the left side of the screen to the right? What were the forces that actually made that leap possible? So, to really understand the present, we've got to take a quick look at the past. For a long, long time, if you heard people talking about AI, it was probably in a university classroom or, in a Hollywood movie. It just wasn't a topic for your average business meeting. The whole idea was fascinating, for sure, but it was missing an answer to the most important question. What do we actually do with it? This quote from Bernard Marr really just nails that sentiment. AI was seen as this big, disruptive idea for the future, but it didn't have a clear job in the present. It was, in a way, a brilliant solution that was still looking for a problem to solve. And bridging that gap, finding its purpose, that was the biggest challenge of all. So what finally changed all that? How did AI go from science fiction to business fact? Well, it wasn't some single eureka moment. Instead, it was more like a perfect storm, a powerful combination of three different technological forces all coming together at just the right time. And here they are, the three pillars that made modern AI possible: the data explosion, cheaper computing power, and mature algorithms. You really have to think of these as a team. Any one of them on its own is interesting, but their real power was unleashed when they all grew up together. We're talking about a sudden flood of information, the ability to process it becoming incredibly affordable, and the brains of the operation getting a whole lot smarter. Let's dig into each one. First up, data. You see, AI learns from data. Data is its fuel, its textbook, its entire world. And with the explosion of the Internet of Things, or IoT, that fuel became abundant. Suddenly, we had sensors on everything: factory equipment, shipping trucks, you name it, all generating massive, nonstop streams of real-time information. For the first time, AI had enough raw material to learn from the world as it was actually happening. But, having all that data is pretty useless if you don't have the muscle to process it. It's like having a billion books you can't read. This is where our second driver comes into play. Computing power got cheap. I mean, really cheap. It used to be that you needed a giant, ridiculously expensive mainframe to crunch these kinds of numbers. But then cloud computing came along, and suddenly that incredible processing power was available to just about everyone. It was a total game changer. And the final piece of this puzzle was the algorithms themselves. The machine learning models, the actual brains of the AI, they just got a whole lot better. They became much more accurate, much more reliable, and this was a critical tipping point because it meant businesses could finally start to trust the answers AI was giving them. It was dependable enough to be used for really important mission-critical decisions. So when you put those three things together, a ton of data, cheap computing power to analyze it, and algorithms that were smart enough to make sense of it all, well, that's when everything changed. AI officially moved out of the research lab and became ready for work. It was no longer a curiosity, it was a real, deployable business tool. And this leads us to what we call operational AI. This is a really key concept. We're not talking about AI inventing brand new things from scratch. We're talking about using AI to make the things we already do work better, faster, and smarter. It's all about optimizing, enhancing performance, and cutting down on waste. AI basically moved out of the R&D department and became a standard part of the toolkit for running a modern business. And you can see this toolkit in action everywhere. Think about maintenance planning. AI can predict when a machine is going to fail before it happens. Or forecasting. It helps companies know exactly how much product to have in stock. In logistics, it's finding the absolute best routes for deliveries. And in manufacturing, it's spotting tiny defects on an assembling line. This isn't futuristic stuff. It's the real world right now. So why does all this matter to you and me? Because this big shift from hype to reality has a direct impact on our daily lives. This operational AI we're talking about, it's like an invisible engine that powers so much of our modern world. It's the reason the things you want are on the shelf at the store, the reason your packages arrive on time, and the reason the products you buy work the way they're supposed to.
So, we've seen how AI evolved from a speculative idea into an absolutely essential tool. The conversation has completely shifted. It's no longer about what AI could do one day, it's about what it is doing right now to create real value. And that leaves us with a huge question for the future. As this powerful optimization engine gets woven deeper into our world, which part of our lives will it reshape next?